Hi everyone, have another Clean Water Systems instructional video for you today. Today we're going to talk about our new 7500 Rev 4 filter valve. We've demoed this up using Schedule 80 tubing. We have our Rusco spin down filter with an auto flush valve, the filter set up here, and a 4.5 by 20 Big Blue. You'll notice that we do have isolation valves we recommend putting in, as well as a sample valve here downstream of the valve. So let's get started on showing you how to set up your system. This valve can be configured for many different systems. Right now we're just going to talk about the filter systems. So that is basically going to be carbon filters, Pro-Ox filters, sediment filters, and arsenic filter setups. So let's get started. Okay, so after we've found a spot for our system, we've got our plumbing all organized, we're going to go ahead and set up the media bed with the D-tube in the tank. So you get your tank, and you'll receive your D-tube here. You're going to put the D-tube in, basket end down. And you want to make sure the D-tube is flush with the top of the cylinder. A little trick you can use to do that is spin it like a top. When there's no water or anything in there, it'll seat down and it'll be pretty much flush. The next thing you're going to want to do is put some tape over this D-tube so you don't get any media down inside the D-tube. That's very important. If you get media down inside the D-tube, it'll come up into the head when you're doing your backwash. So you can use electrical tape. The blue plumber, 2-inch blue plumber masking tape works really well too. But you want to make sure you're able to remove this tape without pulling the D-tube up after you're done. So I'll put a little buddy tab on there, bend that over, and just protect that D-tube there too. Also, if you happen to have a larger cork or a piece of foam you can set over the top, put in the top, you can use that too. The next thing you're going to want to do is go ahead and put your media funnel in here. Now, we always send the right amount of media for your cylinder. You're going to start with the gravel on the bottom, then you're going to put the media that we send you in, and in the case of Pro-Ox, there'll be a little bit of Turbidex on top of that. There's 3 medias in the Turbidex. There's only 2 on the other systems. No matter what you do, you never want it to be more than about 2/3 full up the cylinder. If it's more than 2/3 full up the cylinder, again, you can put media up into the head during your backwash. So when you're complete, it should only be about 2/3 full. What you're going to do at this point then is you're going to go ahead and add your gravel, your media, the Turbidex on top if you have that. Then go ahead and fill the tank up to right about in here with water. Put a cup of bleach in there, let that sit for a couple hours. That'll activate the media and get everything cleaned out, sanitized. Once you've got the chlorine in there, you can go ahead and remove the funnel, remove the tape over the D-tube, and then we're going to go ahead and prepare the control valve to install onto the cylinder. Okay, when you receive your control valve, they may or may not have these fittings installed. Currently we're installing these fittings, but in the future if you do receive it and they're not installed, the in and out fittings look like this. There's a flat washer that goes in between. No thread lube is required, no thread tape, nothing. It just seals with this washer. So currently we're sending these out with these installed on your unit. You will also receive your bypass valve with your inlet outlet fittings, a bag with 4 clips, and another baggie in your control valve head with the tank O-ring, a hose clamp, and some silicone lube. I also wanted to point out, since this is a filter valve, the brine port is plugged, so you have a plug in here, and then the lower port right here, this is for your drain line. Depending on what media you have in your tank size, the correct drain line flow control will be installed in here. Okay, what we're going to do next is install the bypass valve onto the control valve itself. You're basically going to want to lube these O-rings up with some of the silicone grease that we sent. The bypass valve then attaches to the control valve like that. you install 2 of the black clips here, and then 2 of the black clips here on your inlet and outlet ports. And again, the nice thing about these inlet outlet ports, you can orient them any direction that you want to orient them. So depending on how your plumbing is, you can do that. Okay, so now that our tank's set, we're going to take the large tank O-ring that came in the control valve box. We're going to put some silicone on that as well. You want to get that nice and lubed up there. And you're also going to want to lube the inside D-tube O-ring. You'll then take the top screen, and this is kind of like a pressure cooker top, and this guy just presses in and snaps in and then twists on, and then that's on tight. Okay, so that's what you'll have, that's what it'll look like. Okay, now that we've got our valve configured, we're going to go ahead, slide the D-tube through that screen into the D-tube, and we're going to go ahead and thread the control valve onto the cylinder. You don't want to use a strap wrench or anything on this. You want to wait until it seals. Again, no thread lube, anything on it, just silicone on the O-rings. The O-rings seal. Once you get it up to where it feels snug, just kind of give it a little bit more, just enough to seal the O-ring. That's plenty tight. Okay, once you have that head on, there's a little hole right here in the bypass. This is what this little clip here is for. This is for your flow meter. And there's a flat spot and a roundish spot. Just put that little guy in there and snap it into place, and then that'll be hooked up. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and hook up the inlet and outlet ports. Make sure you follow the direction, inlet and outlet. Again, on this, I'm using the flex lines with a seal, so I don't need any thread tape or thread lube here. If you're hard plumbing it in, you could go ahead and use the wrap and a half of thread tape and a little thread lube. Just don't use too much thread tape on there. Okay, now that we've got our inlet and outlets connected, we're going to go ahead and use our hose clamp, and we're going to put our drain line onto the drain valve right here. This is on the left side, lower left side of the valve. And go ahead and plumb to your drain. In this case here, we do have an air gap connection that allows, if your sewer were to ever back up, you wouldn't get it back up into your water. So anyway, here's where you run your drain line into the drain. Okay, we've got the media in our tank. We have the control valve put on. Now we're going to go ahead and set up our valve, program it, put the time and date in, and we'll do our startup. This is a good time right now. Make sure your valve is in bypass because you don't want to have any water into the system yet. But this is a good time to go ahead and energize, bring the water pressure up on your line. Basically what this will do is the water will come in through the bypass and out. It won't go into the cylinder. Might want to pressurize the line, make sure you don't have any leaks, leak check your system that you put in before you proceed. Alright, go ahead and plug your power supply in. Go ahead and plug it in here. It's to the right of the valve. And like I said, these valves are programmed here by us for the type system you have. So we're just going to go in and set the date and the time. Now we're going to proceed with setting the date and the time. If in fact the unit is locked, you can hold both the up and down arrow key at the same time to unlock it. When you do that, basically for about 3 seconds, you'll hear a beep and the system is unlocked. We'll depress the menu button and we'll scroll down to time of day. And then you can just scroll up and down. Let's see, it is 9:30 here, and you can see it changed from PM to AM. Then we'll go over, we'll change that to the 9:30. Okay, time of day set. Now we're going to set the date. Scroll down, and today is 11/4. And 2021. Back. You can scroll down here. You can set your service days. We preset that for you, but you can go in there and change that as well. Set your regen time again. 4 a.m. We'll set it for 2 a.m. And the backwash time, fast rinse, those are all preset, but you can change those here as well just by going in and depressing this and up and down. This should be set for 8 minutes. Okay, when you get those set, just go ahead and hit the second button here, the back or regen button, and you'll go back to in service. You'll see the correct time and the day remaining for the backwash and the regen time. So that should be all you have to do on that. So now we're going to go ahead and do our startup. The startup's very important, especially with the Pro-Ox. What you're going to do is basically cycle the valve back and forth between backwash and rapid rinse. And it's very important at the initial backwash startup that you do this real slow. So what we're going to go ahead and do is push the regen button, and we're going to put the control valve into the backwash mode. As you can see here, once you push the regen button here, it'll say motor running until it gets to that point. Okay, once you see that you're in backwash mode and you're counting down from the 10 minutes, we're going to go ahead and unplug the unit, and that keeps the control valve in the backwash mode. Okay, now what we're going to do is the initial backwash. Now you still want the downstream valve closed, both of these closed, because you don't want to be putting any water in the bypass into the house right now. You're going to be blowing out a lot of fine particles, especially with the Pro-Ox. It's going to look black. So you're in bypass mode. Go ahead and bring your water supply on, and you're going to very slowly open this bypass valve. And it's going to take you about 5 minutes to fully open this valve. I want you to go really, really slow. Again, what you're doing is you're running water down through the D-tube and up through the media. So if you go too fast and blast it, you're going to blow the media up into the control head. So right now what you're going to do is you're going to see water coming out your drain line. So you're just going to go really slow over a 5-minute period until your valve is all the way open. Okay, so now that you're with your bypass valve fully open and the water's been running for say 5 to 10 minutes, we're going to go ahead and plug the unit back in. And as you see, we're into the backwash. We have 9 minutes, 25 seconds left. So all this time, you're just going to continue to watch and let this thing in backwash mode flow. And the water will just continue to go out into the drain line. Okay, once the 10 minutes is up on the backwash, you'll see it go, it'll stay motor running, and it'll go into the rapid rinse mode. So now what you're doing is the water's going back over the media, up the D-tube, the opposite direction of the backwash, and you're compacting the media, getting it ready to use as a filter. Okay, now you can see that it's gone into the fast rinse. So you'll let that run down through its 8 minutes. And then once that's done, it'll go back into service mode. Okay, now you can see that the water, or you're back in your in-service system after the first regeneration cycle. So basically what you're going to do, push the second button to regen again. You're going to cycle back and forth between backwash and rapid rinse. So at that point, what you can do, and that's why we recommended putting this valve here before your shut-off, go ahead and pull a glass full of water here and make sure it's not cloudy or you see any kind of cloudy stuff from a sediment filter or the grayish blackish from the Pro-Ox or carbon. Once you see it's clear here, you can go ahead and open the water service up to the rest of your house. Okay, so that completes the setup of our 7500 Rev 4 filter system. Hope this helps you setting up your system. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to one of our technical support specialists. Thank you and have a good day.